Hello, welcome to Network Visualization with Tableau. Today we're going to walk through the process of creating one kind of network visualization, normally called destination map. Before we create the visualization, I would first like to talk a little bit about Tableau. So what is Tableau? Tableau is an interactive visualization tool that could be used throughout the data-driven research process. There are three versions of Tableau outside there: Tableau Public, Tableau Desktop, and Tableau Server. If you have watched or attended our earlier workshops, you should have been familiar with the three different versions. Tableau Public and Desktop are locally downloadable and installable versions. The difference being that, first, Tableau Public would not allow you to save your projects locally, while Desktop does allow that. Second, there are more cloud storage options offered by Tableau Desktop, which is very important for industry use cases. The third version is Tableau Server. Tableau Server is a cloud option for users to save their data and visualization safely, allows online editing, and also facilitate collaboration with multiple people. Next, let's take a look at the data we're going to use for this workshop. All the data we're going to use today is accessible on this GitHub link. Following this link, you can see there are three files in this folder: the GTMark data modified, GTMark data original, and gtbuilding.zip. To access this data, you can click on this big green code button and download the zip file. After downloading and unzipping the folder, let's take a look at the files in this folder. First, let's take a look at the original data. Here you can see it's a very simple small data set. Here we have three columns: origin, destination, and times. What this data set was about, it's about the OIT dispatch from its central hub in Clough to different buildings on campus, and the times shows us how many times the dispatch happens or the request happens. However, the original dataset data structure is not sufficient for Tableau to understand and create the destination map. In order to enable Tableau to create the destination map, there are a few steps of manipulation we need to do. Now let's open the modified dataset. Here you would notice we have a few modifications which could be done either in Tableau or outside of it, really depending on the scope and the structure of your project. We did this outside of Tableau. So the first thing you need to do is copy-paste the original data set and paste it underneath it. To differentiate the original and the copied version, we add a column called direction. For the original set, we call it departure, and for the copied set, we call it return. Also, we need to add a location column. For the departure directional set, we put the origin location here, and for the return set, we put the destination here. We do this step because for Tableau, for every entrant or every row of data is only able to map out one location to represent that information. So last thing, in order to pin all these locations on the map, we also need the latitude and longitude information. So here we have a second sheet with the latitude and longitude of all the locations in our data set. The idea of this project is we want to map out all the requests coming from different locations on campus. Hopefully this information would help OIT managers to gain insight of the traffic and traffic flow on campus, which could hopefully help them optimize the dispatch routes. It's a general understanding of the data structure and the goal of this project. Now let's do one more thing before we move into Tableau. You will remember we also have this GT building folder in the data folder. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to unzip it and put it in Tableau repository so we can use our own built-in icons on our visualization. To do this, use your computer search function and search Tableau repository. My Tableau repository. Open it and find the shape folder. Here, move your GT buildings folder in here. And later we will use all the icons we created and put in this folder. Now we're ready to create our destination map. So go ahead and launch your Tableau Public or Tableau Desktop, whichever version you have. For this exercise, they should look the same. Since our file is saved in Microsoft Excel format, use the Excel data connector and navigate to the folder where we saved all our files. Connect to the GT mock data modified. Here your data is loaded in the interface. You can see on top it shows us that the data connection is GT mock data modified, and underneath it, it shows us the two sheets we have created in that folder. One is the trips and the other is latitude and longitude. Okay, let's first load the trip data here. And we can say immediately the table is loaded for us. It looks exactly the same as we saw in Excel. The next thing we need to do is to join the lat long data with the trip data and connect all the lat longs with the locations we have here. To do that, drag and drop the second file here. You will see immediately add relationship window popped up. So what is happening here is Tableau is asking you which variables from these two tables you want to use to join them. By default, my screen shows that it wants to join the location in the trips to the location in the lat long, which is right. If not, click the drop-down menu and switch to the right column. Now you will notice at the bottom there is a Sheet 1 tab turned into bright orange. That is where we go create our visualization. So click on Sheet 1. Now it brings us to the worksheet page where we can create the visualization. For this project, what we want to do is, first we want to pinpoint all the locations on the map. After we create all the locations, we also want to create the bridges to connect the origins and destinations. And then we want to size the locations based on the request coming in from that place. And at the end, we want to use our customized icons and add a background map to help our audience understand the surrounding. Before we start to create the map, one more thing we need to do to get us prepared is to create a new variable that helps Tableau to understand how to connect to the origin and destination. To do that, go up to this drop-down triangle, click on it, and select the first item, Create Calculated Field. Here we can create a new variable and name it whatever we want. I'm going to call it Path. And here for the path we're creating is actually our origin plus our destination. When you type in these keywords, you will notice if they are an available item or variable in our data collection, it will show you the available options. We can just click it and register it here. After we put the equation here, it will tell us the calculation is valid. So now we apply it and OK on it. Now let's start creating the map. In order to control our locations and the bridges between the locations individually, we will need to create 2 frames of maps and overlay them on top of each other. Okay, first let's create the map with all the bridges. To do that, you just double-click lat and double-click long. You will notice it has created a map for us with 1 dot, which is the average of all lat and long values. In order to map all the paths or bridges on the map, we just drag and drop the path on detail. Now you will notice a lot of the locations have shown on the map for us. However, they're dots. This is because by default, the mark is dot. So in order to change that, let's click on the automatic and switch to line. Now you will notice there is a line created on the map connecting all the dots from left to right. This is some progress, but it's not right if we are familiar with this dataset. The reason it's not right is because at this point, it does not know what to do other than connecting all the dots together. So one thing we can tell it to do is by add location information to the map. Now you will notice it has created this destination map or these connectors shooting out from one central point, which is clef, to three directions. The first one, or the left one, is to student center and to the first center. The second one is to Skiles and then Tech Tower. The third one is to Price Gilbert and Crossland, and at the end to the Hall building. If you're familiar with the campus, you will understand that this is the right location of all the data points, and this data structure does show us three potential ways of connecting locations on campus. Remember when we talked about the project design, we also want to pinpoint all the locations on the map and size them based on the traffic or request coming from that location, so that it gives us a better idea of how much traffic is going through that route and how OIT should dispatch towards that direction. So here we need to create a separate frame of map with that information. To do this, you just drag the let variable and put it next to the original one. You can see on the map, on the screen, it has split the sheet into two maps. On top, it's the original one we need to use, and at the bottom, this is the one that we need to change into the dots that can represent all the locations. To do that, take a look at the control under marks. There are three control sections: all, average, let 2. To control the bottom frame, we go to average let 2. Here, instead of having the path, we want only the locations. So drag in the path and throw it out. Also, we do not want it be lines, we want it be dots, so switch it back to automatic. Now you will notice all the locations have been pinpointed on this on this part of the map. The next thing we want to do is we want to size all these dots based on how many requests coming in from that location. To do that, drag and drop your time and put it on size. Again, make sure that you're working on average let 2 instead of average let or all. Now you will notice that our map has changed into dots of different sizes. You can also change the size of the dots by clicking on size and move the size bar. Similarly, if you would like to control and change the cosmetic aspect of the links or the bridges, you can also do that. Make sure you switch to average let. Here, if you want to change the color of all these bridges, you can click on color. Let's use a Georgia Tech gold for all these links. Now you'll notice all the links have turned into the gold. If you want the view to look a little crispier, you can remove the halo setting, and you can also change the opacity if you want to. In order to make it a little thinner, if that's what you want to do, use size control and turn down the size a little bit. If instead of using the automatic circles, you would like to use your own icons, Tableau also offers that option. Go to average let 2. Here, if you wish to use your own icon, click the automatic, and here switch to shape. you will notice a shape option is made available here under the control. If we wish to use shape for different locations, drag and drop location on shapes. Now go into shape. Instead of using the default shapes assigned to us, we click on the drop down and you will notice the GT Buildings folder that we added to my Tableau repository is made available here. If it's not here, make sure you reload the shapes and then it should be available. Click into this folder. Now we see these are all the shapes we added to this folder. So to change the shape of different locations, first select the location and select the shape you want to assign to it. Every building on campus serves a different purpose. For that reason, we also give them different shapes. Price Gilbert, for example, is a library building, so we assign it with a book icon. Skiles is a classroom building, so we assign it a classroom icon. After this, apply all the shapes to all the locations and OK on it. Now if we switch back to our map, we would notice all the places have turned into the customized icon we assigned to them. If you wish to make them a little bigger, you can again use the size control. Okay, now we're ready to go. Let's overlay these two frames on top of each other. To do that, we go on top to the two average let variables we dropped in the rows. Click on the second one, and here select dual axis. Now you will notice these two maps have been put on top of each other. To make this map more informative, you may want to drop some information underneath each location to tell people how many requests coming from one location. To do that, we drop times on the label option because label controls all the words showing on the canvas or on the sheet. Now you see immediately all the numbers show up on the map. The next thing we might want to do is to put the destination here. So now we can see 40 requests coming from Price Gilbert, 23 from Crossland, 26 from Skiles, so on and so forth. You can just leave it as is, or if you wish to edit it into a more polished narrative, you can do that too. For example, if we want to change the narrative, we can see the times of requests coming from the location. Then we can move the content around. Now we can preview the content. 4 requests coming from Crossland. You can also style your content the way you want. Now let's preview it again. 4 requests coming from Crossland. If you're happy with the display, apply it and OK. Tools used to create this frame has been made available here. If you wish to remove some of the information, you can do that. For example, I don't want people to see the lat long information, then I can just select them and delete. So is for the location. The only information we want is actually destination and times. So here you will notice there are two kinds of fonts. One is the light gray font and the other is the black font with a light gray background. The light gray part could be edited easily, but if you wish to keep the black font part, please do not try to delete or edit it since it's put in from our dataset. If you try to change anything with a gray background, you will end up damage the connection. Go to Tooltips. Here you will notice all the variables. Now our map has been created. The last little bit of touch we want to add is to add a background map so that our audience would understand where are all these places. To do that, click on Map on top of your control panel and Map Layer. You will notice on the left side there is a map layers sidebar created for you. Here, go to styles. We can switch it to another style with more information. For example, street. Then you will notice the street map is overlaid as the background. And to make our content pop a little more, we can use the washout to dial down the background. Now our map looks perfect. At this point, we have finished creating our destination map. If you're using Tableau Desktop, you can just go to Files and select Save and save the project to your device locally. Since we're using Tableau Public for the demo purpose, it does not offer the option of saving the files locally. So what we will need to do is to save it to Tableau Public. There are two options, Save to Tableau Public and Save to Tableau Public As. The difference is that the second option allows you an opportunity to name your file. So let's use the second one. When you click it, there would be a window popping up asking you to log in if you have not. Here, if you're first time to Tableau Public, you should create an account here. Since I already have an account, I'm just going to log in and show you how to save the file. Okay, here it gives you the opportunity of naming the file, which I will call it Destination Map. After you rename the file, click on Save. Then Tableau would push the content to the server. It takes a couple seconds for the content to show on the web page. Here you will notice your map is saved on Tableau Public. When you hover over, you will notice all the interactivity that we created in Tableau Public or Tableau Desktop is preserved here. Also, at the bottom, you can also find the Share button if you wish to share your content with other people. Another important button is the Download. If you wish to come back to this map and rework some details, you can click the Download and select Tableau Workbook. By selecting this option, it will wrap up all the content you published here and download it for you. Then you will be able to open it again with Tableau Public on your local device and keep working on it. This concludes our workshop content. After you finish the content, you have more questions, on the screen you will find a link that takes you to our website. On the website, you will be able to find our Tableau Help Desk hours. Thursday from 2 to 3 is our dedicated hour to help answer your questions about this workshop. We look forward to seeing you here. Thank you for your time and interest in this workshop. We hope you learned something and excited to see new destination maps or other kind of network visualization you work on.